Greetings, everyone. I'm Buzz Hackett, Director, Installation Management, and welcome to today's Installation Management Town Hall. Given our current circumstances where the majority of us are teleworking, this is a little unique in that you're not able to come into your respective conference rooms at your facilities and installations, so we're going to go ahead and conduct this in a measure where we're going to tape it, and it'll be then sent out to you. So with that, I invite you to grab your favorite tea, coffee, or beverage, snack, and please join me as we go through today's town hall. During COVID-19, I've communicated various ways to our installation management workforce via all hands emails through our all hands distribution list, and I've also had non-supervisory call-in sessions. I felt it was time to get back to more of our normal operations and conduct this town hall today, and so I'm glad we're able to do that with the help of our PAO and audiovisual team. So a big thanks to them goes out for today. The next slide depicts our agenda. We'll spend some time on hails and farewells, recognize those new teammates that have joined the team and those that have left either from retirement or taking up other opportunities. We have special recognition. I'll give an update on COVID-19 and where we are with that response. Talk a little bit about our DLA Director, Admiral Skubik, her priorities and focus areas, as well as our installation management focus areas. I'll give you an update on the Denison Culture Climate Survey, tell you where we are with the combined federal campaign, CFC, talk a little bit about the current defense-wide review and the actual initiative that pertains mainly to installation management, where we are with that. That's referred to as Alternative 104 or Alt 104. Talk about DM optimization as it relates to that, and then I'll address questions that have been sent in from both the field and the staff directorates, and then a little bit about the holiday season. We are hailing just over 100 new installation management teammates, both from our headquarters and our staff sites. And as you can see, San Joaquin, Susquehanna, and Richmond are hailing the biggest community. I'd like to thank those in the J1 and our supervisors for while we've been operating under COVID-19 for making our onboarding process and procedures as transparent and as easy as possible to bring our new teammates on. Again, a lot of names on here, but please read through, and again, welcome those folks that are working with you and those that you coordinate with and collaborate with every day. The next slide has our farewells. As you can see, another jam-packed slide. We have just under 200 teammates in DM that have either retired or left for other opportunities. Both the farewells and the hails are from this calendar year. Again, take time to see some of your teammates that have departed the agency. Next, what I'd like to speak to is the 53rd Annual DLA Employee Recognition and Awards winners. As many of you all know, this traditionally, we bring all these winners in from across the enterprise, and they're recognized by the DLA Director and other senior leaders here at the headquarters. But due to COVID, we're not able to do that this year. The J1 is currently working with the PAO and other senior leaders, and they're going to conduct a virtual event. But until then, we're going to recognize our DM winners at both the local levels and from my office as well. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and just read through this chart to recognize our winners. From Leader of the Year at Level 2, Mr. Jose Gonzalez, and he's out of our headquarters, Security and Emergency Services Staff Directorate. Our DLA Security Professional of the Year, Mr. Don Bartlett out of Richmond. And then you can see the next category represents Installation Support Excellence Awards. Our DLA Police Officer of the Year, Officer Spikes out of San Joaquin. Our DLA Lead Police Officer of the Year, Lieutenant Bowen out of Richmond. DLA Supervisory Police Officer of the Year, Lieutenant Giesman out of Susquehanna. Our Outstanding Police Activity of the Year is DLA Installation Management at San Joaquin. And our DLA Firefighter of the Year, Paramedic Firefighter Brett Mitchell out of Susquehanna. DLA Fire Officer of the Year, Captain Bardar, DM Columbus. And our DM Fire Service Instructor of the Year, Firefighter Lemons out of Susquehanna. Our DLA Prevention Program of the Year comes from DLA Installation Management in Susquehanna. and our DLA Emergency Communications Center Dispatcher of the Year, Mr. Mark Pennington out of Columbus. And lastly, the DLA Fire Department of the Year, DLA Installation Management of Columbus. Please join me in a round of applause for all these award winners. I'd like to thank the supervisors that took the time to submit these individuals and their outstanding achievements. I know it takes a lot of work, and again, I'm very proud of all of these award winners. Next slide, I'd like to discuss our COVID-19 and where we are with our response. From the very beginning, installation management has played a crucial role in how we've been working with the reconstitution framework. We've had two members, Mr. Ed Poprock, who is our Deputy Site Director at Columbus, and Mr. Juan Torres Rodriguez from our Headquarters Security Emergency Staff Directorate, and together they help develop the guidance for each of our phases of the reconstitution framework as it related to installation management responsibilities. Dan Bell, the DM Site Director at Columbus, and his team then led the way in developing a reconstitution playbook. Our other DLA field sites replicated the playbook, and this formed the basis of the installation management reconstitution support plans. Early on, our site directors consolidated personal protective equipment, aka PPE, requirements, and ordering was accomplished at a centrally at DLA headquarters for the entire DLA enterprise, and this was accomplished by the headquarters site director, Mr. John Hallwick, and his team. They then distributed over 33,000 masks to our DM sites and J&D codes for further distribution. Our site directors modified their custodial contracts to ensure the workplaces are cleaned and disinfected in accordance with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines and recommendations, and have ordered and have on hand additional cleaning supplies for employees to use in and around their immediate work areas. Our various DM police officers continue to play a key role in the agency's COVID response. They've implemented no-touch D-bit scanning at gates, resulting in scanning of CACs and IDs through car windows so individuals can come in and on the base in a more safe manner. Under the leadership of Mr. Bruce Thomas, our Security and Emergency Services Staff Director, he developed in his team processes and procedures outlining DLA-specific installation access and physical security procedures during COVID-19, and they continue to gather and report weekly D-bid scan counts for those entering the DLA facilities for accountability purposes. The Family Morale and Welfare and Recreation Staff Office, under the leadership of Mr. Will Anderson and his team, have developed non-appropriated fund employee policy and operational guidance. Most of our FMWR programs have closed at the field sites, but we are able to keep various family advocacy programs open to assist employees and others in need. For your situational awareness regarding DLA's roles going forward with the COVID vaccine, you may be familiar with Operation Warp Speed. This is the government's effort to field and get the COVID-19 vaccine distributed, and DLA troop support and DLA distribution are assisting with this in receiving, storing, holding, and distributing the vaccine to the Navy fleet overseas and at 43 other locations overseas to support our civilian and military populations. Lastly, to date, I want you to know that we've had 876 employees throughout our agency have tested positive for COVID-19, and we have tragically lost 6 DLA teammates to COVID-19. Next slide. I'd like to speak to the focus areas that our Director, Admiral Skubik, identified shortly after her arrival this past summer, and our installation management focus areas. Before I talk to these focus areas, I want to say that while our agency's strategic plan remains in effect, our DLA leadership, along with assistance from a consulting group, is currently reviewing and assessing DLA's mission, vision, and various lines of effort to include workforce and workplace modernization and our interaction with industry, to name a few lines of effort. Many of you all should have received a survey earlier this week that deals with the workforce modernization review. I encourage you to complete the survey, as it will contribute and aid to the way ahead of our workforce modernization. I took the survey earlier this week, and it took me approximately 15 minutes to complete. Beginning under the director's side, you can see Admiral Skupik has laid out her various focus areas and priorities. Taking care of people, fostering a culture of performance and accountability, DLA's alignment with the National Defense Strategy and doing what we in DLA do best, and putting the customers at the center of everything we do. I mentioned earlier that a survey was sent out to the DLA employees. Well, other customers are also completing surveys, and many are being interviewed on what they believe the service and how we're doing in providing our services and support to them. On the installation management side, you can see that our focus areas have remained consistent over the past year. Our warfighter support, our primary focus remains on providing support to our fellow DLA employees and the warfighter. Culture climate, I have subsequent slides that I'll address there. Audit readiness, this year's audit cycle is winding down, and DLA is currently providing and closing out the year with our audit task force and the J8 team and preparing for next year's focus areas, general equipment, environmental liability, and completing our real property transfer to the military services. Defense reform, DLA continues to work various initiatives that are under a defense-wide review, and I'll speak to those in subsequent information here in a few minutes as we focus on Alternative 104 and what that means to the installation management community. Lastly, operational technology, aka OT, also referred to as facility-related control systems. This continues to be a major focus of the Office of the Secretary of Defense. OT involves aspects of automation and cybersecurity where someone seeking to do our agency harm can exploit possible vulnerabilities in our system. Examples would be various defense fuel supply points that we have in DLA or our heating and air conditioning systems. If the enemy gains access to these systems, they could possibly cause great harm. We have an executive group led by Ms. French, our Chief of Staff, and co-led by the J6 CIO that meets monthly, and I'm also a participant of this group. And we have a working group comprised of DM and J6 action officers that are currently working the draft OT DLAI. We anticipate this being staffed next month in January and being completed in March 2021. Next slide, our culture climate. All of our field sites and DM staff directorates continue to work their respective culture climate plans as we rate the results of the Denison Culture Climate Survey, which closed last month. We just received our final survey completion numbers. DLA as a whole came in at 54.5% completed the survey. Our total completion rate for installation management was 41.1%. The plan is to receive the culture climate feedback in January or February, and that will begin our process for the culture climate action teams to begin putting together their plans. Hats off to the following DM activities for their high completion survey rates. We're still waiting on the final numbers, but these are fairly close. Headquarters Security Emergency Services, 90.9%. Environmental Management, 90%. The DM Front Office, 89.5%. Europe and Africa Field Site, 87%. Indo-Pacific Field Site, 81.3%. Battle Creek Field Site, 80%. Headquarters Facilities and Equipment, 75%. Headquarters FMWR, 69.6%, and distribution coming in at 64.3%. Again, great work and participation by these staff directorates as they came in with some of the higher percentages within the installation management community. Next slide. I wanted to make sure that you're aware of who your DM, site, and culture leads and champions are. And I appreciate the work done by Susan McGinty here at the headquarters installation management and working with all our culture climate champions. Next, just a little bit about the combined federal campaign. The theme this year is Show Some Love. The overarching goal is to ensure every DLA employee is provided the information and presented with the opportunity to pledge or donate and give to their charity of choice if they desire. To date, the agency's pledges have raised approximately $146,000, which puts us currently at 56% overall for the agency goal of $260,000. The CFC campaign runs to 15 January. These are challenging times for many, and I would encourage you to give to your charity of choice if you are so led and able to. The CFC website is noted on there, and you can see the installation support community, which just categorizes those at the headquarters to date, have given just under $3,000. This does not represent what's also being given out at our field sites, and they'll have those numbers as we proceed through this CFC campaign. A reference CFC, lastly, I'd like to say I appreciate the work done by Mr. Eric Linneman, who volunteered for a second year in a row to spearhead our DM CFC efforts, and for each of the CFC key workers at the field sites and the staff directorates. Please don't hesitate to reach out to your key workers, representatives, if you have any questions. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about Alternative 104. This is my last topic before I address some questions that has been sent in from the field. The defense-wide review, and there's been two of those, 1.0 and 2.0, these are where the Secretary of Defense has gone out to the military services and to the defense agencies to see where they could garner savings, be more efficient, look at missions they're currently doing, what missions they can take on, what missions they should be giving to another agency or military service to do. What came up with installation management close to us was Alternative 104. This is where the initiative is looking at our 4 host sites possibly being placed underneath the Army in their installation management command. This review has been ongoing for about a year, and there were several courses of action that have been developed. Recently, a 3rd course of action was developed, and this would have the DLA host sites remaining under DLA and installation management. We anticipate hearing from the Office of the Secretary of Defense soon on the way ahead here. But given this 3rd COA, the host sites remaining underneath the DLA has been given strong consideration. I've directed that we conduct a holistic review of the DM staff and sites to see how we can best carry out our mission set and optimize ourselves to be able to be more efficient and effective. So over the next coming months, with various stakeholder involvement from the field sites and the headquarters staff, we'll be doing a deep dive into this optimization of installation management. I'll send out more details in a follow-up email using our DM all-hands distribution list. With that, let me address some of the questions we received from the field. The first question is, why did I make or support the decision to move some of our MILCON program to DLA Energy without sufficient input from all stakeholders? There are several sub-questions to that, but I'll go ahead and address this overarching question first. What has been going on for the last 10 years or so is DLA Energy has been seeking a realignment of some of our MILCON functions that we carry out. My position from the very beginning was to retain these tasks, these resources. However, the DLA director was briefed last March, and at the end of this decision briefing, he decided that the positions we have that are DLA Energy funded, which we had here at headquarters and some in our DLA Europe and Africa site and some of our Indo-PACOM site, would transition to DLA Energy, and they would do more of that mission execution, whereas our MILCON office here, as do a lot of our other staff directorates, would focus on policy, oversight, and compliance. Given there still are more questions about this, though, I went ahead and asked my deputy, Mr. Don Phillips, for policy to arrange several follow-ons, both with the facilities leadership and those from the MILCON team, so we can further address their concerns. I would also point out that there was a continuous process improvement done after this decision was made by the director, so we could better smooth out these processes and procedures and ensure that the proper training was in place for the energy team that was then assuming these different execution responsibilities for MILCON. The second question was, which I've already addressed, had to do with Alternative 104 and where we are with Alternative 104, so I'll proceed. The next question had to do with, at one particular site, can they get more audiovisual equipment as there's more command briefings and presentations and recordings that are being done? So they were having difficulty doing that. I reached out to the respective site director. They're coordinating with the J6 enterprise to see how we can go about getting some of these different types of equipment so that our audio and visual folks in photography can go about and better perform their mission. Another question had to do with the agency management review and what's the status of those. Those are currently on pause. For those that aren't familiar, the agency management reviews, that's where we take different staff proponents, and this is run out of the J3 office. We take different staff proponents, such as security, emergency services, environmental management alike, and we go down and we do assessments of the MSCs. So right now, those have been put on pause, pending some of our mission and vision way ahead and the analysis that's being done with that. The next question has to do with web EOC. This is a common operating picture that we have been trying to obtain over the last several years, but we have not to date. And in talking with security emergency services, the way ahead there is we're going to wait until the Alt 104 decision, which we expect sometime soon, and then we'll go make a decision whether we're going to pursue web EOC, which again is a common operating picture for our security and emergency services area, whether we're going to go ahead and make an attempt to obtain that system. Lastly, we have a question about monetary awards and specifically how they relate under the COVID environment with our first responders. And so I first want to say I very much appreciate the work that's being done by our first responder community to keep us safe here on the installation for those that are coming in. A lot of hazards, and so they're taking the precautions necessary to ensure everybody is abiding by the guidelines by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. What I would tell you is that the J1 is currently formulating a program to recognize those that are going above and beyond during the COVID environment, and we expect in the coming months to have that program solidified, and I'll be putting out more information so we can recognize our first responders. There's nothing preventing our sites and our headquarters from recognizing folks that do above and beyond every day, and that would include our first responders, but there is going to be a special program to do that. Those were all the questions that I had. Again, continue to send in any questions that you might have, and we'll address those going forward. In closing, I understand that these are very stressful times that we are all living in. Please use the available resources in our Employee Assistance Program, our EAP resources, and I encourage you all to check up on your fellow teammates. As supervisors, especially during the telework environment, it's our responsibility to check actually daily on our employees to make sure that they're doing well. I'm very proud of all the things that you're doing and how you represent the DM community in supporting our fellow DLA teammates as well as the warfighter. While during this holiday season, please remain vigilant of your surroundings. While U.S. NORTHCOM does not have any specific threats, I want to make sure that as you go out and about, and you may be in some areas where there are larger crowds, that you remain vigilant of your surroundings. I want to wish you and your families a safe and enjoyable holiday season and all the best in the coming year. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Warfighter always.